Hi Charlotte, how are you this morning?
Good. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. On a beautiful, beautiful autumnal morning.
Isn't it?
Welcome everybody to Series 3, our first interview of Series 3, and what a fantastic interview we've got. First of all, what have you been up to, Charlotte?
Well, I've been doing a bit of admin and just started getting ready for the next couple of commissions in the workshop. So
Fantastic.
nice things. I've got a nice project in Milton Keynes that I've just started working on. So I'm busy, but nicely.
Brilliant.
What about you?
Temple Church is rolling on, and very excited about that, but there'll be more details about that later. We've got a couple of places left on our modelling course, haven't we?
We have.
If anybody out there fancies it.
Yeah, you can book them on our website under the shop tab, but I will put a link in the show notes as well.
And you've got an exciting exhibition you wanted to promote.
I do. It is Rosie Musgrave, who we spoke to a few programs ago, Stones in My Pocket, an absolutely beautiful sculptural carver. And she is having an exhibition in Bristol, which we're going to give a shout out to. It's on the 17th to 19th of November at the Crypt at St. Michael's Hill, Bristol. The details are on her website, rosiemusgrave.com. I'll again put the show notes link in. And we just wanted to give it a shout out. So if anybody's interested, 10 till 5 p.m. We really recommend it. There's a preview on Sunday, the 16th of November. And if you can get there, we would really recommend people
Beautiful
going.
Work.
Yeah, really stunningly beautiful lines and forms, and a real sensitivity to her work.
And as for us, as the Abraxas Academy, our last big commission is being unveiled on the 27th of October, which is coming up, isn't it? Crikey, it's coming up. I didn't think it would ever get here, and it is.
I have to get my big trousers out.
I'll get my elasticated waisted trousers on. So if anybody has the want, we will be, there's media coverage on the 27th morning of, and you can see us probably, or one of the team, and see the sculpture in situ and the unveiling, which is going to be pretty special. So you can catch it on iPlayer, I expect, or any of the kind of catch-up channels, but it will be on the morning of the 27th.
So who have we been talking to this week, Nina?
Oh, my goodness. Just extraordinary. Amelia Crowley-Roth and Sam Lee from the London Stone Carving. Two extraordinary, bright, shining lights in the carving community who work as a team with Tom Nichols and Josh Locksmith. And they have taken some time out of their really busy schedule to talk to us about the company and their lives and their working practices. And it's been an absolute joy to interview them. So I'm not going to say any more about it, just listen. And Sam gives a fantastic top tip at the end of the interview. So we're going to take a step back and let Sam deal with that this week.
He's the top tip.
He's a top tip man, this week. And so I hope you enjoy it as much as we did. It was absolutely wonderful kickoff to Series 3. So we've got an extraordinary two people. Is this the first time we've interviewed a couple or two people?
I think it is. I think it is the first time.
And this has been, it's no lie that this has actually been in the pipeline for about 2 years. Sam and I talked about this about 2 years ago. And he was at a school sports day watching possibly his children run up and down, but possibly he was involved in the dad race. I'm not sure about that. But we were chatting about making sure that these guys are on here. So today I've got an enormous amount of pleasure and respect to have Amelia Crowley-Roth and Sam Lee on this morning from the London Stone Carving. They are co-directors of the London Stone Carving company that have had an exceptional career so far and are going to go on to have an exceptional future. And in my mind, they're probably some of the most interesting carvers working in the UK today. And it is a huge welcome to the podcast, you two. Thank you so much for taking your time out for coming on.
Flattery. What flattery.
What flattery that is.
It's lovely to be here.
Speechless now.
Yeah.
Speechless.
Blushing.
It's so wonderful. So for those people who, I don't know many carvers who won't know you guys actually, but tell us a little bit about you two and what you do. You two are both carvers, stone and wood carvers. Just tell us about yourself briefly.
Yes, so we actually met when I moved into Amelia's house in Peckham when I was starting at Sitting Guilds of London Art School, where Amelia was doing the painting course at the time.
Fine art painting.
And we kind of obviously shared breakfast times, and one thing led to another. And we went through Sitting Guilds. Amelia defected from the painting course to the wood carving.
I was doing the painting. Actually, if I roll backwards, I wanted to do conservation, but realised that I couldn't do the science. I came at it wanting to do conservation. Painting was where I sort of started. So I went to Sitting Guilds because it had the most sort of traditional basis that I could find within a fine art course. So I did the fine art course and then realised that you could do wood carving there, and I didn't even know that they did carving. And
you did 1 year of carving with the painting at the same time, didn't you?
They were amazing, and they let me do carving at the same time as the painting, which was incredible because it gave me the opportunity to sort of test it out before jumping in to that area, because obviously it's a lot of money. It's just, and it's a degree course now, isn't it? So I guess you can get funding for that.
Yes.
Yeah, you can. So did you both come from artistic parents? Is this something you just found? Because you didn't just find yourselves in a shared house in Peckham. You obviously had a love for it. So how did it start?
For me, it was definitely my parents are violin makers. So I grew up in a sort of crafty household, and as a crafty, not in a sort of sticking things together kind of way, but in a I grew up thinking that everyone had workshops in their house. That's the world I was in. Everyone my parents knew because they were all violin makers and various things related to violin making. That was very, very normal for me, as was self-employment, which I think is probably why me and both my sisters are all sort of self-employed in that kind of way, and quite happy to be so, because I don't think we'd be able to do anything else. It's all we know. So it's a funny one, because I could say we had access to the idea of using our hands and tools and things like that, but really we did a lot of painting, a lot of drawing. But in terms of the woodwork, in terms of the workshop, we could go in, but it was there was not really. My parents bought us tools and a little workbench with the idea that we'd be able to go in and have a go, but there was never the right time, if you know what I mean. It was always they were always too busy to be able to let us have a go. Or
busy being self-employed?
Yeah, probably
with precious really expensive precious objects around.
Exactly. So
you can play, but not here.
Yeah, exactly. So it was a bit I think when I found wood carving course at Sitting Guilds, it was like, finally I can have a go. And what was really nice about it was that it felt so familiar to me. You got, even things like the sound of sawing a piece of wood, and you hear the difference you can hear when it's about to be cut through, even if you're not looking at it, if you know what I mean, if you're just focusing on the sound rather than just the visual or the feel or whatever. It just little things that I noticed that felt like home that I hadn't realised. So for me, it was just a sort of homecoming, I think. And I don't know about you.
I came at it from a very, very different angle, which was, so I grew up with a mum very interested in geology and geography, a dad who's a material scientist. My sister was always very artistic, but I would say that I wasn't naturally artistic at all. And the interest in stone, I remember I was always crafty, or I was always practical. So I'd always have a go with tools that were lying around and try and make things. I made a guitar for myself when I was 14, 15, because that was mainly what I was interested in at the time, and to be honest, probably still is.
Music,
music, but I was interested in the material of stone because I grew up in Wiltshire amongst the chalk downland and the sarsen stone and the flint. And my earliest memory of touching stone was picking up a wood chisel, just a carpentry chisel, and trying to take it to a piece of sarsen stone. And I hit it once, and all I got was a spark. And I thought, well, how do you do anything with this? And that was my sense of stone. So when I did my A levels, and I did environmental science and geography and biology at A level, didn't go that much, so I didn't potentially get the grades that I wanted. But and then I sort of decided, I was just looking through a prospectus, and I found Weymouth College building conservation course as an option, and I just went and looked at it, and then I just jumped in blindfolded head first and went for it, and loved it. Just loved the kind of, loved that sort of process of the discipline of learning a flat surface, that initial carving a flat surface. I think it probably took me, I don't know how many flat surfaces I carved before it was flat. And it was that discipline that I really, really needed to kick my brain into a different mindset. And then from there, I just kind of wanted to see where I could go with it. And the natural progression after Weymouth College would have either been to go into building conservation, archaeology, or I did my work experience at Strawberry Hill House at the time, which was actually being run and managed by a company called Bowman's, which for a very long time was my family company, who were sort of traditional church builders from 1886 until 2013. I think they went bust. But I met Tom Brown, who is no longer part of London Stone Carving, but I met Tom Brown, who had just finished at City and Guilds, and that's how I found out about City and Guilds and ended up there. So that was the progression to City and Guilds.
Didn't realise that you heard about City and Guilds through Bowman's and through Tom.
Yeah, through City and Guilds through Bowman's, which was, and it's remarkable really that it happened, because so my great grandfather was the last family member that was part of Bowman's. It would have been passed down, as all these things were, down the male line, and my granny was an only child, so it was passed down to the apprentice, and there was much heartache from her position because of that. She's still gutted about that. But so I've inherited various Bowman's memorabilia from her: straight edges, squares, notebooks, furniture.
Wow.
Yeah, all this kind of stuff. So sort of a blend of all sorts of things that led me to do it. Obviously, I think why stone carving and stone was in my mind was because of that family connection. But it wasn't necessarily the deciding factor in why I went into it. And the journey for me, turning from very kind of almost verging on academic rather than artistic into artistic, has been a incredible journey, because for a lot of my career, even I've had this sort of overwhelming sense of imposter syndrome, which is I think
we all know about that.
We all know about that. Yeah. But then I've had these moments, you have these moments when you go, oh blimey, I can do this. And I can see, and you feel I guess carvers all experience this at times, and other times they don't, but the experience of such intense flow where you feel like you're creating something out of the earth, you are almost akin to a god in a way, because you're
that's just you.
Well, maybe I have a theory that all
Amelia is like yes.
I have a theory that all carvers have a slight god complex. But that experience of flow and realizing that you have learned something is such an amazing experience for me, especially coming from that mindset of not believing that I was at all artistic, not believing that I could do this stuff. And then over the years,
I think when you guys turned up at the school, I remember people, students come in and you're never quite sure where they're going to go. You don't always know if they're going to do it, why their reasons for doing it. It was pretty clear to me from both of you. People talked in the wood yard and stone yard about this fine artist who was coming in and doing a bit of wood carving, and then people going, "Oh my God, there's this person coming from fine art doing wood carving." And to walk into the studio, it was as if there was a postgraduate fellow there, churning out this extraordinary, beautiful, sensitive, skillful work as if dropped from a cloud. You know, when I don't mean to be funny, but some fine artists come in, and generally, this is a generalization, and I have a fine art background, and I have been that person. They come into the studio and they make round shapes. Yeah. They make kind of like emotional shapes that are square, that are spiky or square or broken or dusty. And because they are on the expressive and conceptual side of learning, and then they come into carving because they're looking, and I was one of those people, looking for a skill that allowed me to make something beautiful and like that looked good. And then there you were, a full package kind of dropped in. And I remember it kind of sent ripples around the carving studio, because it's like, okay, wow, actually, this is new, this is different. Yeah. And then Sam, you arrived, and you were kind of like this confident young man who came in and was just like, actually, yeah, I'm going to do this, but also in a very strong peer group. You were in a group of people that came in. I remember that peer group being very different as a group coming in. And then watching you both go through, Amelia, yours was just like a firework explosion of interest and talent and color and surface pattern and exploration of carved gesso and gilding and carving, etc. And Sam, yours was very much like you won the Taranti Award. I remember at the Portrait Award at the end of your show, your portrait of your grandfather, the kind of the massive, not massive, but maybe double life size or triple the life size portrait of your granddad got chosen for the Portrait Award. And I remember you going, well, this is weird. I didn't expect this to happen in a strange way. You know, I didn't quite know I had it in me. You quietly won that. And then you guys just literally took the step off the cliff, which is the most difficult, I think, for people when they leave college. And you had this fantastic vision of community, I think. I mean, I can't speak for Amelia because obviously you went off to do slightly different things. But my contact with Sam and in my conversations with Sam is that you had this really strong feeling that you wanted to work with people that you liked and respected, and you wanted to develop a kind of community feel to your career. And that stood out to me a lot.
Yes.
That kind of maturity. So how did that work?
Kind of came about organically, I think.
It came about a bit organically. So we left Sitting Guilds. So
you finished a year before I did. So I was still at Sitting Guilds a year after, wasn't
it? That's right.
Yeah.
Because you did a fellowship.
Because I did 3 years painting course, and then I went on to do the 2-year fellowship. So I started 1 year after, and I was at Sitting Guilds forever. I came back to do a
that's right.
To do the
people kept paying you to say
fellowship afterwards. Yeah, exactly. But so
well, if you're going to throw money at somebody, quite frankly, it's going to be you. To be fair. Anybody out there wants to throw money at Amelia, she's not going to say no. And it's
I won't say no. Any chance for me to learn more stuff, that's the favorite thing to do.
Yeah.
But so Sam started 1 year after me and then left a year before me.
Yeah.
And then you set up this.
So when I left Sitting Guilds, I first got a studio in West London in my uncle's boatyard in Twickenham, which was not practical because the only access is a footbridge. And,
oh my god! Yeah, I didn't know that.
I spent about 3 months sort of commuting from Peckham to Twickenham, and moved all my stuff there, and then I just sort of realised, this isn't going to work. This isn't going to work at all. But I was very grateful because I've got a family friend who has given me loads of knowledge over the years. I've worked with loads doing sort of building, the more building side of stuff, and it was his studio that I was sharing. But we parted there, and I went and found a studio in Peckham in the Bussey building, which was actually an event space that wasn't really a studio at all. It was an old bombed out warehouse where Converse had come in and they put down some tarmac and they built a shed, and it was a skate park, and
temporary,
very temporary skate park. And so I said, this is perfect. And we moved in. And then I contacted Tom Brown. Tom Brown came to share with me, and then Tom Nichols, other director of London Stone Carving, along with Josh, moved from both directors, moved from Whitechapel to join the studio, and then we kind of all realised we were competing for the same jobs. Very, very quickly realised that, you know, we were just all out of sitting guilds. There's only a certain amount of stone carving, and we were competing. So we thought, okay, could we pull portfolios together? Could we approach the companies together as one blanket? It was actually, I think Amelia came up with London wood carving first as a name.
Because this was the point. So when I left a year later, they were already in the studio, and I moved into the Bussey building as well, but in a different studio inside with some other people who weren't wood carvers, who do painting and illustrating. And it's slightly different with wood carving. I think the type of work that you end up getting is, you know, you're not going to be chasing quite so big projects generally. There are a lot of smaller things. So I was setting up my website and thought, no one's going to remember my name. If I meet someone and they're vaguely interested, they're not going to remember Amelia Crowley-Roth as a website. So I thought, oh, I'll see if London wood carving, because if someone Googles wood carvers in London, then London wood carving will come up. And I was amazed to find that, it was free. And then you decided to take the same for London stone carving. And
so at first, I think we had a blanket website, I think, which was a homemade website, which just said London carving, and you clicked on it, it went stone or wood, and it was terrible. It was really bad.
It was really bad, yeah.
And somehow someone believed it, and I think the first major commission that we got as a team was Pitshanger Manor, which is now our logo, the sewn rose that we made for Pitshanger Manor, and that was the kind of first job that we got, that there was a little bit for everyone. We could divvy it up to modelling, casting, carving, and that kind of...
Did you install that?
We didn't install it. I can't remember the company that installed it. They went bust as well, I think. They have a habit of doing that, don't they, the big companies?
They do reinvent themselves, that's true.
Yeah. So that was the first time we kind of thought, okay, well, you know, we've now got something to communally put on the portfolio. But we were all still working as self-employed sculptors as well, stone carvers, getting private commissions, headstones, little bits here and there. Somehow Westminster Council found us and kept asking us to do really weird things for a little while. So there was the plinth of Charlie Chaplin in Trafalgar Square, which was a piece of there's a black granite plinth they wanted in Leicester Square, sorry. They wanted it kind of to be installed and made within a couple of weeks before Christmas, as all these commissions always are. And we actually happened to know a sculptor just down the road who had a big lump of black granite as a chessboard on the street in Peckham. So we no one was using it, and he said, he was just storing it there, and he'd scratched a chessboard in it. So we went with a pallet truck and picked it up and wheeled it back to the workshop, turned it into a plinth, and then so we get those really sort of boring jobs in a way, but we thought, oh, you know, this is exciting, the right sort of clients, right direction.
We also paid rent.
Yeah.
And I mean, ultimately, that's why we had to move, wasn't it?
Yeah. So eventually,
we'd have probably stayed in London a bit longer, but I think that's the funny thing about City and Guilds. And I think
we have to say that we are in Somerset.
Oh yeah,
and
we're in
Josh
Somerset.
Are in London, so we've got two studios now. Yeah, that's information.
Yeah, we are in Somerset. I'm from Somerset originally, so I've kind of come back to my home county. And Tom and Josh have managed to stay there by hook or by crook. Yeah, haven't they? In their amazing studio in London, which is really helpful for us as well.
Incredibly useful. Yeah.
But with City and Guilds, pretty much all of your friends and everyone that you meet there has to move out of London.
Yeah.
It's, you know, I know other people in different universities sort of stay around that area, but you just can't in London. Yeah. Which is a bit of a shame.
Yeah. So we had the studio in Peckham. Eventually we sort of realised I can't remember, I think it might have been Tom got a commission for Ripon Cathedral, a bat. And it was over the summer holidays, and we'd all been away on holiday, and we came back and it had sunk into the tarmac.
Oh my God, because it had been too hot. The weather had been
it had been too hot. And
the thing was just really cheaply made. It was an event. Converse just put on an event to sort of show them.
A week.
It was meant to be there a week.
And we were there 3 years.
It was also at the bottom. It was a shanty town, really, wasn't it? It was at the bottom of a high-rise flat, and you used to get nappies thrown down at you and for making too much dust and noise. And I mean, to be fair, I'd be really...
Yeah. So we moved from there to Old Kent Road, where they still are. So with the workshops on Old Kent Road, it's just on the edge of Burgess Park. not the most glamorous location, but it's great for a sort of showroom.
It's up and coming there now.
Yeah, it's up and coming now, but it's great for a showroom location, and we've got a lot of the plaster casts of stuff over the years there. It's a great place to, we come up and go for meetings there when needed. It's not got any outside space, so generally speaking, the way it works now is that all the big, dusty, messy stuff, a lot of the roughing out is done down here, and then we've got a Land Rover and a trailer, and it goes overnight. And or sent on pallet line if it's small enough, and that just sort of works. I think back to the community aspect of it, how it's worked is it only works because of who we are. Another 4 people wouldn't necessarily.
When they started up, because I joined officially about a year ago, maybe
2.
Whenever
maybe 2, yeah.
When they started up, I was doing wood carving and I was out on my own. And I kind of thought the same thing. And I had the idea and I floated it about with a few of the other wood carvers that I was peers with, and it just didn't really happen. I think it's time and space as well. They happened that they were all together in a studio, and they, I don't know, you just worked really well together. I think you each had your own sort of
skill set in sense.
That just sort of gelled.
Yeah.
What was really clear from an early stage is that we are only as good as the sum of our parts. And I definitely had skills in sort of the technical side and the experience in sort of a lot of the building side of things that the others potentially didn't have. Tom Nichols had a big background in the conservation side of things, which was really helpful as well. He worked with Taylor Pierce for years, done work in the V&A and all over the place, and had all those connections as well. Tom's got numerous sort of accolades under his belt over the years, and Josh had this drive and business enthusiasm that organise, and without Josh doing that, and Josh has kept everything going when we've gone off and had kids or built our house and all those kind of things. And it's this kind of almost unsaid deal that we'll each pick up the slack as and when required. And also it needs to be said that the only way it works is if you have to put your ego aside. You have to say, I don't mind making this, it being visible, publicly visible, and not necessarily having the credit for it.
Yeah.
Which at times is difficult, but generally speaking, we've been able to thrash it out and chat it through and come to the conclusion that actually that's fine. It's London Stone Carving doing.
That's what I was going to say. When you say you don't get the credit for it, the London Stone Carving Company is credited, and you are an entity together. So the companies are like a separate identity, really, aren't they? So the company gets the credit, but it is still you. It's not like another one of the carvers is standing up and saying, I did this and I did that. It's all under the umbrella that you are all working towards.
Yeah.
And we found out recently, because we've recently done a big collaborative project, that we had conversations of the fact that we all have an idea of what our best is, and we aim to improve and get better and better. But actually, I've had a couple of instances with the team where it's like the team might say, really love this, but we could do this to it, and maybe that will make it better. And sometimes you're like, no, that makes it worse. And then you argue your toss. And then other times you're like, yeah, but I don't know if I can achieve that. But with the support of that team, suddenly the work just gets better and better and better. And then it's suddenly something that stands on its own, almost like it made itself. You're incredibly proud of it. And you probably would have got there, but not as fast and not as mature and not as good.
Yeah.
And I think it's so wonderful because actually it takes a little bit of the weight off your own shoulders.
Yeah.
Oh, totally.
Like you get to be good, but you don't have to house all of that, which can hold you back in time and money and budget and space and all of those things.
It's a funny experience carving someone else's model.
Yeah.
Because you start getting into their headspace and try and imagine what they're thinking and what, there's a photo reference or whatever. You kind of start analysing, the way that they were thinking about it.
Yeah.
I always think that's such a great space to learn, is making other
Mm.
people's work. Some people just don't like doing it. They think, oh, I just want to make my own stuff. But I think, you know, I've done a lot of work for other people over the years, and mostly letters, but I get a real understanding of what their headspace is, how they think and how they see. And that then helps me see in a different way when I do my own work. So I think there's always a huge value for working that way occasionally.
Yeah, absolutely.
It should be said that we all do get the heebie-jeebies when we have to carve Amelia's models.
I would say I probably wouldn't. I would be like, no. I'll rough it out, but Amelia might have to put the final hand on that one.
I'm having to see, the thing that I'm having to learn is to really rein myself in, because I have a tendency to, there's sort of one pace that it can go to, and it's not done until it's there, but that means that it ends out taking 5 times as long as we've priced for, and I end up earning absolutely, well, probably negative figures by the end of it.
It's like sharing a studio with Michelangelo.
No, come on. It's not cool.
Wow.
It's I struggle with a sort of OCD type perfectionism, I suppose, and I find it really hard.
You've got an ability to see it in your mind's eye in a way that I think is quite unusual.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
It's a funny thing, and I think going back to the fact that I came from the fine art side, and you know, I never had done anything 3D particularly before, and my whole adolescence and childhood, really, if you go right back, I was drawing and painting, and mostly, well, a lot of it was from my mind. But I think the nice thing about coming from that was, it's sort of a blessing and a curse, because I remember being at City and Guilds and having teachers like Dick O'Nions come to me and telling me how to woodcarve, and you use this chisel for this, and you use that chisel to make that shape, and I just couldn't get that. And if someone asks, and I get really scared at the idea of trying to teach woodcarving, especially woodcarving, because if someone asked me about grain direction, I couldn't tell you. You know, those kind of things, these kind of logical ways of thinking, you know, how to sharpen your tools properly, all of those types of things, I give it a go. But generally speaking, I just dig into the wood, and if it doesn't go right, I dig the other way. You know what I mean? So I'm much more sort of focused on how it, and I suppose that like you were saying before, it's more about feeling and how you go with it. In the same vein, when I was on the painting course, when I was doing fine art, they were mega frustrated with me, and I was frustrated too, because I couldn't understand where they got these, how you can let loose in that way, and where you can get these ideas and thoughts from without it being so literal. So I was sort of stuck in a really weird halfway between space, where I was both very sort of, I don't know, sort of traditionally, I don't really know how to phrase that. My visual brain, or the way that I saw things, was very literal. So I'm sort of copying what I'm seeing. I'm not just copying, I'm coming up with stuff, but it's also based on everything that I've seen before. I'm not very good at just inventing something completely new from scratch, which I don't know, I guess maybe no one really is, truly. But that's how I felt. I felt very much like I had no imagination, because I couldn't just come up with new things. And then when I was then on the carving course, I wasn't literal enough. I couldn't quite figure out how to
find the discipline.
Yeah,
it's interesting,
which is a weird,
it's interesting thing. So I think I've, Amelia in some ways has been my teacher over the past, how long we've known each other, 18 years, I don't know, but the kind of back to the collaboration again, having someone come in just as you would have done for me, Nina, at City and Guilds, and come and said, Sam, have you actually looked at that?
Oh my God! I am known for saying that. That's a lovely leaf. What a lovely leaf! And have you actually looked at a stiff leaf? After that person's finished. Oh, what a lovely attempt!
Yeah. But there's so much psychology in the carving of pieces, and if you've got a tight deadline, or you're using a material that's very unforgiving, or it's tightly priced, or any of these things, and you can strangle yourself, and you can forget to breathe and stand back and look how I've kind of got over my hump of that imposter syndrome and realized that actually I am artistic is just like training that observation over the years. And I think having someone working with me that reminds me to do that the whole time has led me to a good place now. But it's not always been
not an easy journey.
It's not an easy journey.
But I'd say the same for me. So I'd say the whole time, and you know that because you see me working the whole time when I'm doing it, I'm saying, I can't do it. I can't get it. Where is it? Why is this not going away until it's done? And then I'm like, oh, there it is.
And that's done. Yeah.
But you've got to constantly talk me through being like, you always do this.
Yeah.
You're always saying that. So at the beginning of the project, this is where Sam and I work really well together, and it's great that we have the studio space. And I think probably I can't speak for Tom and Josh because they're in their space. And actually, funnily enough, I've never really worked with them because they've always been in London and I've been here. Sam has, but I haven't. But what I can say for me and Sam is that Sam manages to do a load of the stuff that I just can't. Because I have skill sets in the sort of more finishing side of things, but Sam really gets the projects rolling and invents machines that enable these things, and you know so much about stone and how it works and the different qualities and all that. You facts are just, your brain is full of facts and mine's full of air.
I should interject here that you know, I don't know if you know this, but your ability to invent machines, Sam, precedes you, because I was at college a month or like last year sometime, and someone said to me, "Oh yeah, Sam Lee at London Stone Carvings. He's invented this roughing out machine that just put it on it and it press a button and it roughs it out." And I was like, "Are you talking about? They don't use robot cutting. What are you talking? Oh no! It's literally made out of glue and chewing gum and a screwdriver and a solar panel."
I'd like to publicly thank me and the wonderful Ben Levings, who
yes, ArtScan 3D, absolutely.
Yeah, ArtScan 3D worked closely together to make.
That was Sam's COVID years.
Yeah, the COVID years when there was no work, making. It's essentially a big key cutting machine, really, and it's again, it's a learning process, and it's not like it's not a tool that anyone could just buy off the shelf and use. It's and
you definitely can't just press a button and make
there's definitely you can't press a button, and there's definitely been you know how within carving all the big mistakes are made right at the beginning.
Yes, in the first 5 minutes. Yeah, literally in the first 5 minutes.
Well, I'll say no more. I just don't. You can say so it's like the bigger the machine, the quicker the mistake can be, and the bigger. So,
and the most expensive.
And the most expensive. So that's a learning process, and it's great. It means that we're in a position whereby we can.
It means that we don't have to use angle grinders in the same way.
There's no dust. There's not much. There's a lot of slurry.
There's always dust.
I think we've got a different idea of dust carvers. When we say possibly. No dust, other people might not think that there's no dust.
There's still dust. There's still dust.
And I classify dust as well into clean dust and dirty dust.
Oh, do you?
And stone dust is very clean. It's been untouched for millions of years. It's as beautiful as dust gets, whereas house dust is dead skin and nasty stuff, and that's dirty dust.
Okay.
So I classify dust.
I would lay down on the studio floor, but I wouldn't necessarily lay down on the floor of an unwashed, a really dirty house. I would agree with that completely.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. Yeah.
Well, just so you know that, this legacy and this kind of legend of you guys that is permeating up here. You're not only, you're the crazy inventor, you're the kind of crazy inventing team. You're not only producing extraordinary and exquisite statues and peppering London with your legacy. Up here is this percolating little kind of urban legend of crazy studio experiments. So it
is a bit like that. It is a bit like that. But what it's led to is like the development of it. It's just a development of a process. And what it means is we can spend longer on the finishing and the modelling,
which is the joy, isn't it? That's the fun bit, the joy bit.
The bits that we enjoy and that where we can really thrive.
That make the work sing, really, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's the bits that
really does.
Between something being rushed out because there's not enough money for stone carving out there.
Yeah,
people don't want to.
Yeah,
pay
people just if we really priced the hours it took, no one would pay.
Well, we wouldn't get any work, would we?
No.
I think we're all
It really would
familiar
go.
with that
It would all
feeling.
go to. It would all go to.
Yeah. We are all propping up the craft industry with our
Yeah.
with our
personal investment of time and love of what we do.
commitment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I want to. I'm going to drag us on to because I want people to know what you've done and the achievements you've had in the last few years, because I think you guys obviously stand out. So you're working together, you get your breakthrough as a group of people. There must have been one commission that tipped you over into, like you're saying, the client's arena that then brought in this other, I'm not saying it's easy, because I know you've worked tremendously hard, like you're saying, with all of you picking up the slack and pushing this oil tanker forwards. But was there something you go, yeah, it was that changed them something? Is there something you can think of?
I think the opposite. I think what we've experienced is things like, for instance, we had these statues for Admiralty Arch, and you're thinking, that's it now, we've made it, we're just gonna have more commissions like this, and then you finish it and realize, oh, yeah, that was it.
Yeah, there we go.
You know what's really strange is, I don't know if you listened to the Tim Crawley interview. He said absolutely exactly the same thing happened to him at Westminster Abbey. 12 life-size figures, the world's your oyster, nothing.
Yeah, exactly. So it doesn't really work like that. You wish it would, and you wish it,
I guess it means that we're more visible for these.
It means
to say we can do it. I mean, you don't really know whether anyone can do it.
It means that we have a better portfolio, don't we? But it doesn't necessarily mean that you get the work. I mean, you can have a wonderful portfolio and still not get the work because people want it cheaper.
What I would say is these commissions, until you get this big commission, you don't yourself know whether you can do it.
Yes.
And I would say the Admiralty Arch job, which we installed.
Can we just say what it is, because it's very easy for you to go, oh, the Admiralty Arch. I mean, hello.
Yeah, so we carved based on the original drawing from 1906, was it? Something like that.
You're the figures.
Aston Webb, who was the architect, designed Admiralty Arch, and he did a little fag packet sketch of a figure that was never carved, and the blocks were left in the building. And we took that drawing, and Amelia made a profile drawing based on it, so we could sort of visualize it from the side. And then we modelled and carved they're nearly 3 metre tall statues, 4 blocks of stone each. They go on the Trafalgar Square side of Admiralty Arch, which is the entrance to the Mall. We installed them in February. The scaffold's still up, which is a bit annoying.
Oh my god! So no one can quite see them yet.
Yeah, because I can't see them yet. But
we've got white sheeting in front, so we couldn't. They're installed, but we can't see.
Oh, it's a shame. How frustrating!
After spending so long carving, you want to be able to.
But what was so nice about that job was that we did the whole process, and we were given the space to do the whole process. Quite often, these bigger jobs seem to come through a larger masonry firm or another organisation, and they've already got the stone sourcing covered, or the installation covered, or etc. And but we saw the process through from the beginning, so from drawing through to scale model, and then we modelled at full size and carved, and then we installed them as well, and removed the existing blocks. So there's 12 tons of Portland that had to come out, and so we did some urban quarrying. Drilling and splitting 2-3 ton blocks off a building 12 meters up. And
that's the kind of bit that I from the beginning would be like, no, we can't do that. Of course we can't.
Yeah, and that's someone else.
Yeah, we can do that. Well, there's no problem.
And that's where I think that's where my confidence comes in. Like, I have the confidence to do that stuff.
I don't know. I think Josh and Tom do it.
They do as well. They definitely do. I think. Yeah, they definitely do, and we work really well as a team. We found it. We were nervous about the installation and that process, but I think apart from the fact that it was in London and I live in Somerset, it went really smoothly.
But the more you do as well, the more confident and able you become to do those things. So I remember when I was first installing things, I would get companies in and I would watch them, and I think, I could probably do that. And the more you see it being done, the more you understand you probably could do it yourself. And then the first time you start doing it yourself, you're nervous. But you just get better as you.
Can I just say the whole idea of that that you just described makes me feel physically sick.
What about if I said that we delivered all the statues with the Land Rover and trailer into the reversing into the
what, bit by bit?
Yeah.
Hang on. So you've got one trailer, one Land Rover. You put one section of a statue, drove it to London, dropped it off.
One statue at a time in the trailer. Whole statue.
You came up the motorway with thousands of pounds worth of, I imagine, quite hundreds of thousands of pounds worth of statue up the motorway into central London, pottering around like you're on the Tweed run.
Yeah.
You deliver it with your motorway and your fantastic hat that you're wearing right now, Sam, which
this is a new hat. Yeah.
It's a fantastic what's the detective?
Sherlock
Holmes hat. You pop that into London. You're like, I'm just dropping this 3 to 4 meter high statue. I'm just going back for the other one.
They're being allowed to park in Trafalgar
Square. Yeah, they let me. They just let me park on Trafalgar
Square. Brilliant.
Yeah.
I hope you've got pictures of you standing next to the car in Trafalgar Square.
do actually.
There are some things.
You're sort of overwhelmed by the whole. I only went up for the final
sort of trimming in and stuff.
Yeah, no, I mean I didn't do any. I wasn't allowed to do any work there because I wasn't initiated on the site. But I went up to see it because I wanted to see it up close and installed. And it's bizarre. I've never been. I mean, I've not had any experience with sites. So this was really new to me, but it's you walk in and you go up to the office and they've got a picture of your face as you've walked in. You didn't even know they were taking
fingerprint
scanners. Like what mood you're in.
Yeah.
Because the computer scanned your face and how old you are. I think I'm middle-aged.
Middle-aged and grumpy. No.
So it's just
It even says suspicious or something, doesn't it? So like,
oh my God, that's brilliant. Because you were like, oh my God, I wonder what this is going to be like. You're guilty. Your face says guilty.
Guilty, absolutely. The whole thing is just clad in white plastic sheeting the whole way around. So it's this weird world.
And it's
really weird.
It's about as proper as sites get.
Yeah.
It must be number one threat level the whole time, mustn't it?
Oh yeah.
That's site.
Yeah. So it was a weird experience driving around the back of Horse Guards with a trailer full of unmarked boxes of stone. I'm thinking, how am I doing this? The way it didn't stress me out is that if it was put on a lorry, if these boxes were put on a lorry and waved goodbye to, I'd have to follow the lorry the whole way to be sure that they were driving carefully enough.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I know maybe it's a bit of control freakism going on, but
it's important. Spent so long on something like that. You need to.
Can I ask you how long? What was start to finish? What was the length of the project?
A year. Yeah, pretty much a year.
That's not long, is it, to do that? That's fast. To be fair, that's pretty fast, I think.
No, it was fast. And
were you working on other projects at the same time? Were you all entirely?
You had other work on, didn't you? You had, you had other modelling. What you were modelling the spaniel that's just
that beautiful spaniel. That's extraordinary work.
Spaniel, because I did the maquette first, and then it went to Josh and Tom to do the full size model because we made it full size.
And then we carved.
And then
one here and one in London.
And then we went into the carving.
And you modelled it full size to make carving easier and quicker. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, right. That makes sense.
Again, having the machine, it needs a one-to-one model.
Yeah.
To be able to work it out.
Because the profiling.
And it just makes it more cost effective that way.
Yeah.
In the end. So then it was cast in plaster, wasn't it?
We did it all very properly. It was all very proper. I mean, we definitely could have cut out. There was a few things that cut.
We couldn't have done it.
But it would have been worse. You know, you wouldn't have got the result. But like.
And the funny thing about it is that because again, they're huge statues, but they're being seen from such a great distance, and it's
no one's ever going to see them that close again, are they?
No, but it's the whole David thing, isn't it? You've got to view it as if. So we spent a lot of the time on the floor trying to imagine what it was like if it was really far away and high up.
Yeah.
It's impossible to get that, isn't it? I remember myself putting statues on kind of like a breeze block plinth and trying to get them as high as possible that was effective, so I didn't have to climb a ladder to do the carving. Yes. So I could look at it from far enough away and try and work out that 45 or that like 75 angle. And then and in the end, the only way to do it was to lay on the floor.
Yeah.
And then you still get a bit of a skew. And then, of course, everything's photographed face on.
Yeah.
And I remember people going, they're really a bit fucking weird looking, aren't they? And I was like, not from the floor. They're never meant to be photographed straight on. The distance between this and this is exaggerated or compacted because it's being seen from the floor. And of course, when you get any kind of publicity around it and people take photos of it, it's all a bit, oh, no, I don't know about that. It's like, will you just take a picture from the pavement, please?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
there's a lot of skill in that. There's a huge amount of skill. And also as carvers, we get obsessed with a certain viewpoint. And then you get to the floor and you realise, why have I designed that drapery so I can see all the way up? That's ridiculous. I can't drill this thing hollow. I have to compact that decision, or I have to twist that decision. So shadow implies piercing rather than piercing. It's brilliant though, isn't it? What an intellectual challenge.
It is. It's a really, I love that kind of a challenge. And you're obviously, you come and rein me in when I've done things too pierced, not possible in stone.
But it's interesting. So I'm obsessed with the tone of the carving. So I'm obsessed with getting the darks as dark as they can possibly be, and highlights.
But that's also something to think about. It's on the north face of the building. So we
oh my God, yes. So they had to be even more bold in that sense.
Yeah. Because it's going to get swallowed up at that distance. So it'd be interesting to see what it looks like when it's finally done.
Well, presumably
we'll
have to stand and smash a bottle of champagne on the bottom. And
exactly.
And look, I want to quickly jump onto Victoria and Albert, actually, because they were pretty special things.
Okay, so that was a competition that we entered. So
it's through Quest,
through the Queen Elizabeth Scholarship Trust, and that was during COVID. Again,
Tom Nichols got
Quest, so the email got sent to him, I think, and then Tom and Josh did the original maquettes and went to all the. I think it was probably all on Zoom, was it?
I don't know.
I can't remember. It's quite a long time ago now. Yeah, so that was, they entered the maquettes, and the concept was Victoria and Albert opening, depicted at the age they were at the Great Exhibition, and they're sort of welcoming guests into the north doorway.
Yeah, and there were niches that had never been filled, weren't there?
Yeah. Niches that never filled, always intended to be Victoria and Albert. And the process was very similar to Admiralty Arch. So, small maquette, full-scale models, life models in, hiring of costume, carved mainly by Josh and Tom, because we were building a house at the time.
I wasn't part of London Stone.
You weren't part of London Stone. I did quite a lot of the roughing out. That was actually the first job, absolutely terrifying, that we did with the machine.
Have you got a name for it?
The machine. And and that is definitely one I think that after doing that's it's so high profile, isn't it?
So one of them Victoria and one of them Albert. The machines.
The machine. Oh yeah, because we've got two machines here, Victoria and Albert.
Who gets which one? Anyway.
So that was about as high profile as it gets, isn't it? So you think, oh, we've made it. This is it now.
Yeah.
The reality is, it's always going to be that there is no making it. It's just being, isn't it? It's just
and driving forward and looking for the opportunity and
and staying true to our ethos, which is using our skill set where it lies best and not trying to.
Yeah, one of the major things that we've done recently within that realm was that we've employed someone to do our Instagram for us. Because we've been beating each other up for years, trying to hold each other responsible. Come on, and we're still terrible at taking the photos. So we're starting to get people coming. We need to find a photographer locally, if anyone knows one.
Yeah.
Because it's not our skill set. We're just crap at it. Sorry, we're rubbish at it.
Yeah.
And we just can't. No matter how hard we try and push ourselves to do,
we don't
all
enjoy
of the online stuff. It just. So we've got someone to do that for us now, and it's just made things so much nicer.
And it's one of these things you've got to have, isn't it? No one wants it.
And it's a consistency, isn't it? So, I mean, Charlotte and I both realised, we've been offline, both of us, probably for about 9 months, because we've just been so busy doing other things. And then you start, and then you do maybe a month where you do 2 a week, and then the interest starts to grow again. And then you just think, oh, this is so dull. And then
I find it very difficult. I'm not a natural photographer. I don't, just generally don't take many photographs on my phone, full stop.
And it's not just the photography, is it? It's the kind of hashtagging. It's kind of like getting the right text in that gets the right You know, all of that stuff is good when you get to the point where you can get someone else to do it. Oh, fantastic.
And has it made a difference?
Yeah, it made a huge difference. The other difference on a personal level, so we now have our wonderful Molly Britton, who you're familiar with.
Oh, Molly Britton. Big shout out to Molly Britton.
Big shout out to Molly. As
what
the
a fabulous
assistant,
person.
Self-declared studio assistant, and
boss.
Paradoxically my boss.
She keeps Sam organised.
Yeah, whether I like it or not.
Well, she did the same to me when she came briefly to college. She basically organised me. So I know Molly. When I was teaching at the Building Crofts College, and she did a masonry course there. She basically walked in and just went, "Well, I'm doing this, and you need to do a bit more than that." I just think, Molly, what a fantastic human being to have in the studio.
Yeah. So she's here 4 days a week now.
Yeah.
And
wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, because when you're, I mean, obviously we're a couple and we're living and working in the same space continually. You just get into a bit.
I was going to ask how that worked briefly, but I didn't want to,
No.
The podcast is going so well right now. I didn't want to take it down a dark road.
I mean, on the whole, I think because again, like we said, we have a different skill set. We kind of know our place. I'm not sure if that's the right way of saying it, but we both have a different skill set. We understand
groove. You get in your groove, don't you? You kind of comfortable in your groove and support each other.
We know what we're doing, but what we're rubbish at is the organisation and the keeping things tidy. And Molly's come in and just solved all of these problems for us.
Yeah,
she's a dream.
Yeah.
And she's a stone person with a carving and stone background. Yes. And so she can think it's so different bringing someone in and training them to understand what you do. And then if you've got someone come in who actually has done that and understands it, I mean, wow. And do you have kids the same age, similar age?
Yeah. So we've got a son and Molly's got a daughter, and they were born 2 days apart. Well, I mean, we have 2 sons, but our youngest is the same age. On my birthday. But
we've got lots of memorials at the moment. So Molly's doing quite a lot of sort of drawing. She can sort of move on a project, so we're ready to start on it.
And she's doing a lot of her own stuff.
She's doing a lot of her own stuff, and
it's nice to have someone else in the space.
And then the London studio, we bring people in as required for hands. We do quite a lot of art fabrication, so it'll be artists will come with a and say make it so.
Yeah, that's one of those where you really have you're really having to be accurate and copy someone's work. Exactly.
You have that really hard. Really tight tolerances, and also shapes that shouldn't really be carved in stone sometimes.
Yeah, because they're designed by somebody who doesn't use stone.
Yeah. So there's a lot of that. We seem to get a dog inquiry a week now.
That's amazing.
Not they manifest.
That spaniel.
But, my God, Well, we did the Akita in marble as well.
That's right, Akita.
Yeah. That was a great one, and that meant we got to go to Italy and select some marble and see what it's. Yeah, so, I did. That was a nice, slightly stressful experience going to Italy and buying stone. You sort of got a couple of days to go around lots and lots of quarries and yards trying to find a piece of white marble, and you sort of on the last day realise that they've taken all the white marble and they're carving copies of Michelangelo's.
So you get what's left.
And they go, oh, you can have that bit in the hedge there. Is that right?
Because what you want, although is big for you, is nothing for them.
Yeah.
Because they've got a whole mountain to carve, and
But there's very little in the way. What we've learned is there's very, very little pure white statuary marble left. So you can get, there's Bianco P, which is a sort of bluer shade of white, and there's more of that. But the kind of the creamy, beautiful translucent white statuary marble, very rare now. So
that's like clean Portland, isn't it?
Yeah.
Pure white Portland is like hen's teeth now.
No, Broadcroft Whitbed, pretty consistent, I would say.
That's a good shout out, isn't it?
My other top tip would be and this is quite a new one. I know I've listened to the podcast.
I love top tips.
I know they like top tips. I've recently discovered, so carving harder stones, so having experience with harder stones, I've been carving a bit of Kilkenny for a long time. Before that, a bit of marble. And carving hard stones makes you have to use things like point or a bouchard, bush hammer a lot more. And using those tools rather than your traditional chisels sort of reveals the form differently to if you're using flat chisels and bull noses. And you kind of get this kind of sense of form whole way through. And I've kind of, my chisels don't really get a look in until right at the end of the process. Whereas I used to, for a long time, use my bull noses and my flats from quite early on, the claw chisels. I'll be a lot of the time standing at arm's length with either a sculptor's hammer, so it's like a tungsten tipped hammer, or a bouchard, enabling me to stand back and actually see what's happening. And that for me has been transformative actually in the way I carve, just using those tools to get as close to the surface as you possibly can. And it's amazing how far close to the surface you can take it just with an axe or a point.
I worked with a guy. Well, I didn't work. That's a lie. I know a guy called Chris Pelletieri who runs the new. He basically trained on St. John the Divine. I went to visit him, and he's got his own kind of training school now in New York. Probably the only training school in New York. Shout out to Chris if he's listening. And he does this brilliant video where he's talking to young 15, 14 people, and he talks them through the chisels, and he describes. He said, you're going on a journey, you're going on your Caribbean holiday, right? And you've got to get transport to get to your destination. And all anybody wants to do is get on the beach. You want to get on the beach, feel the sun on your skin, and be on holiday with a beer in your hand. And he said the quickest way to get there, and if you equate that to carving, is you think of the point is basically the aeroplane, and it will get you as close to the destination as humanly possible. And you're gonna choose the airport that gets you as close to that beach as humanly possible. And if you can land on the beach with that aeroplane, land on the beach. And then he was sort of saying, the claws like the train, or actually, I think, so like you've got, well, no, actually, maybe it was the picture was the aeroplane, the point was the train, and you're getting there as far as possible. Yeah. And then the claw is the taxi from the train station, and then you get there, and then the flat is you taking off your sandals and getting in the sea.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, it should be that divvied up. So the biggest journey should be done with the picture and the point there. That's your major destination. And I would totally agree. I mean, Andrew Melker, he, if you look at any of his figurative work, it's all pointed down almost to the surface, and he's just simply then removing. And Simon Smith would say, if you have to work it off in such a way that you're not just pretending you're carving the surface, you're actually on the surface, which is what the point does. So you're not kidding yourself. Putting these lovely clawed lines is like cross-hatching something that's not quite right. So absolutely agree with you. I love it. I love that. I love you're there with it, because it's really hard to actually encourage people to use a point. They find them too scary. But if you've got a couple, a broader one and if you've got two, and changing the weight of the hammer on the point, all of that, isn't it? It's brilliant.
Yeah. No, that's been really lovely to. I was teaching a course last weekend, and I'm trying to demonstrate just a change of mindset of how to look. So I carved the model of Michelangelo's ear that's kicking around in every single So I got a bit of bathstone and a pick hammer, just literally a pick on a stick.
Brilliant.
And I was just standing there drinking coffee, and in about 45 minutes I'd sort of nearly carved an ear, and I was like, oh, didn't quite expect that to happen myself. But it was kind of like it was that it was sort of, it cemented that idea in my head. Teaching is a brilliant way to get out of what you've been doing for ages.
Problem solving. Well, is there anything we haven't covered, you guys? I'm really conscious that I want you to feel like I've had a chance to basically tell the world. We're having emails from Australia, Canada, Ireland, all over now. So is there anything that you'd like to cover that we haven't?
Don't do it alone. That was just like, doing it alone is so hard. And carving, I've spent a long time in the workshop by myself over the years. We've got a six-year-old and a 3-year-old. Amelia's being a mum, quite a lot carving when possible. But I've spent a long time by myself, and you're only ever you can spend all day by yourself, working and working and working and working, getting absolutely nowhere at all. And all it takes is to say to someone who's sharing a studio, doing something totally unrelated, do you mind having a quick look? Because I'm a little bit, I'm a little bit confused about this bit or that bit or the other. And it's the same with modelling. And then all of a sudden you're on to the next stage, and you can move on, and you become more efficient. The more times you can step away and see someone else's perspective. Back to that community thing, really. You get better work the more eyes you have on something.
Yeah, I'd go with that as well. It's so important to have people around to be able to pull you away from your own head. almost. I think you can, and I think also that's a really important thing to say, is very well and good being like, oh, you guys are doing so amazingly well, and you've got all of this under your belt, and that's how it appears, because that's what we put out there. But it's the same old Instagram stuff and online, whatever. It's an illusion. We spend half our time flailing around thinking, what are we doing? And the rest of the time absolutely loving every second that we work.
Yeah.
But it's not all an illusion. We're doing this work.
We're good at what we do.
But it's not easy.
It's not easy.
It's not plain sailing. It's not, it's not this.
And we get the pricing
idyllic life.
We get the pricing wrong often.
All the time.
And also often, like, you can get caught up in the excitement and the
prestige of the project.
The prestige of a project, and you can kind of go, yes, this is the next one, and you can like kind of, it's really easy not to think it through. And quite often we'll be carving a material that not only have we not put a chisel to, but we've never even seen it. I want that someone will want something in XYZ stone. And until you've touched it, you don't actually know what it's about. And we've carved Himalayan salt, and it's turned everything in the workshop rusty, and you have to throw away everything. Every power tool, every chisel rusts, and you're just like, okay, well, let's not do that again. And then there's stones that are poisonous, and you kind of go, okay, might not do that one again.
Wow.
Or stones that are so unbelievably hard that you think, oh, stone it varies. You get the calm stone, and then you get the granites. But I've had to do stuff in stones which is like, it's almost like the core of the earth. Anything you put to it just sparks or glows and
melts everything.
I've fallen into the trap of sort of getting dollar signs in my eyes, and someone says, I want this before Christmas, and it's last week of November or something, and you go, yeah, I can do that, it'll be this much, and then it just takes over, and you get burnt out, and it's not worth it. It's just not worth it. So trying to stick what you're good at and what you know and what you enjoy as much as possible,
and get that network of people around you that you trust and you love and you work well with.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I know you say it's all illusion, Amelia, but I want to say, as a witness to your the growth of your career from a certain point onwards, I would say, as a tutor, as somebody who's delivered stone carving information to adults, you two have stood out. So as a tutor, I think you have those students that stand out as bright stars. And I just want to say, you two are exceptional. And it's not an illusion. Actually, the talent's there. You just have to look at the work kind of proves it. But it was always there in your commitment and your joy and your love and your enthusiasm. And actually, you're so inquisitive as makers that you can't buy that and you can't instill that. So you can't teach somebody to just be really, really enthusiastic and curious about something. And you two have that in droves. And I think there is a divinity somewhere putting people together. The fact that they put you two together was a stroke of genius. So I just think it's been an absolute honor to see you, and a joy to see that the illusion of the success, because behind it is an absolute firebrand of talent. So from this side of the desk, I can tell those people out there that you're a very, very special group. And the stone carving, London and wood stone carving, wood carving is an exceptional collaboration. I strongly advise anybody out there to look you guys up if they haven't already done that.
Yeah, well, London wood carving doesn't really exist anymore, does it?
Well, it's been absorbed. It's like the amoeba, the COVIDness of the London stone carving is great.
But I mean, I've got to also use the opportunity to say that Josh Locksmith and Tom Nichols, they are absolutely driven to this work as well, and they always have been. Josh has been so hardworking with picking up all the rubbish anytime that any of us have not been able to be there. And Tom getting the meetings organised, going site visits all the time. It's
pretty obvious when if you meet any of you guys, the talent and the commitment is there. And I would definitely say Tom, and when I say the group, I definitely include Tom and Josh. Extraordinary guys. Yeah. Well, I think we've done it. If there's anything else, Charlotte, do you think?
No, I've found it fascinating. I've mostly listened in today, but it has been brilliant listening to you talk about everything, your work. So thank you so much for taking the time to come on and sharing your thoughts so openly. And I know from the feedback we've had from listeners that they really value hearing all these stories of professionals. You know, one of the word that we keep hearing in the feedback is the professionalism is what people are interested in. So thank you.
And the openness of people wanting to talk. So I really want to thank you for being so open about your daily lives, because not everybody is able to do that. So thank you for that.
I think there were topics we haven't touched on, but we would love to get you back and maybe talk about things like the future of carving. I think we could have a really interesting podcast discussion with you about that. So if you'd like to hold the space in the future for us, we would love to.
That'd be amazing if you would.
That.
A two-parter.
Yeah,
I think so. Possibly 3. All right. It's so lovely, so wonderful to see your smiling faces. It's so delicious to see you. Have a fabulous day, and thanks for doing it.
Thank you.
Cheers, guys.
Wow. I love listening to people like that.
Oh God, what a fantastic pair they are. So generous and honest and so open. Yeah, brilliant. So it's been such a lovely interview. I hope you enjoyed it as much as we did.
I think it's always so interesting hearing about people who, I mean, they're obviously incredibly successful, but that success doesn't come easy. It looks like it comes easy when you look at the Instagram page or the websites because they've got some fantastic commissions, but talking to them, you realize that everything is hard won. There's mistakes along the way. There's, you know, always hard work to achieve anything. Nothing in stone comes easily, does it? It's always an uphill slog in many ways. And really, you have to be super dedicated and have a real passion to survive making a living in, and that came across so clearly, didn't it?
Yeah, they're like the swan, aren't they? They're the swan of the carving community, like that poise on the top, all looking shiny, but underneath kicking really hard to keep the business going. So thank you to Sam and Amelia for just being fantastic interviewees and taking so much time to talk to us. I hope everyone else enjoyed it.
Yeah, we love hearing from our listeners. So we had a wonderful email from somebody in Ireland this week, and we've had emails from people all over the world now, and it's so encouraging for us to hear people who've enjoyed the work we've put into creating the podcast. So if you want to get in touch with us about anything at all, please do.
And if you've got suggestions of who you think we should interview or a subject we should cover, please just email in. We're very, very open to suggestions that way, aren't we?
Yeah, we are. And so, you know, hit like or subscribe or follow, whatever the button is.
It really helps.
Because everything helps to keep us motivated in putting all the time aside. We need to.
Okay, so I'm going off.
Goodbye from us.
Yes, goodbye. And happy chipping, everybody.
Happy chipping.
Have a wonderful month, and we'll see you soon.
We'll be back in November.
Happy chipping. Bugger.